Great. So now I think we've got another segment with Ben over at the virtual production stage. So Ben, take it away.
Well, thanks, Sam. We are back in the courtroom having a conversation with our friend today, Craig Durr, who just told me he had luscious lips, by the way. He just put on some lip balm and said he had luscious lips.
That is an internal secret. I can't believe we're going to start off this already in that controversial level here.
Well, look, this is my segment, so I get to do whatever I want. And, hopefully they don't cut off my mic in the back and things like that. But Craig is joining us today to have some conversations, take a side on a couple of different conversations and questions and topics in the world of AV. But I'll tell you what, Craig, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, establish your credibility as a witness here.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. My name is Craig Durr. I work for a company called the Colab Collective, where I'm the chief analyst and the founder. I've been working as an industry analyst, more in the UC space for about 5 years. But before that, I actually worked for a vendor. I ran a product team for Poly and Polycom at the point in time. I worked at Dell, and prior to that, Microsoft. So ask me about products. I can tell you about products.
Well, look, I'll ask you about kind of UC in general. One of the conversations that I almost feel like I've talked about it ad nauseum this week is AI, right? Well, AI means a million different things. I get it, whatever.
Yeah.
But we're talking about AI and UC, talking about the use in technology. But I want to make a differentiator here and ask you a question. I think there's when you talk about AI and UC, there's kind of a couple different approaches. You can have your cloud approach versus maybe your edge. And when we talk about edge versus cloud, define it a little bit and then give us your thoughts on it.
You're starting off hard already. You're not pulling the punches, are you?
No, we're going straight for the fist.
Okay, so in the conference room, for example, one of the big topics of debate right now is around, for example, video processing, right? Should I let somebody like Microsoft or Zoom do the video processing in the cloud? Or should I trust the endpoint to do the processing? And this is with the new AI technology that frames the best image and what have you. And there's some really great brands like Logitech, Neat, Poly doing some great things there. So the question is, who should be taking charge of that video stream and really making it optimal for that far end?
Well, Craig, what I will say is that the decision probably depends on just a dollars and cents conversation for a lot of people, right? You've got a lot of small, medium businesses who it doesn't make sense to set up their entire edge computing system. Yeah. But would you say cloud's a great gateway for that?
You know, I think you hit upon the answer, and that's what I feel like too. It is a gateway. It's a gateway drug, if we can say that in some ways. We can. Well, because you have a lot of installed systems that are, I'm going to call them not smart cameras. I'm not going to call them dumb, but they're not smart. They don't have that AI technology built in. But you want people to have the optimal experience. And so it's a great way to start moving people down that journey where the audio and video just works, and you don't have to worry about it in the room. But ultimately, I think the flexibility and the strongest case of that AI manipulation of the video stream is going to take place in the room. Because that device is going to be able to read the light better. It's going to be able to read the room better. It's going to have a people count better. I think it's going to have more access to some of the data. So I think it's a journey. I don't think there's a single winner in cloud versus edge.
Oh, that's, you know what, I'll allow it because I'm nice and friendly, but I'm not going to give you an out on this one. This is a fun one right here. We're talking Android versus Windows from a development
that's another
UC
one.
standpoint.
Oh, I can't believe you went.
Look, I'll tell you this. Okay. Microsoft has a great shoehorn with their Office suite. There's a lot of people that are developing on the Android platform.
True.
Which one right now is a little bit more attractive from a dev standpoint?
So you want me to go hard left or hard right? Let me give you the pros and cons of each, and then I'm going to land.
Well, no, let's say if you were to start a dev project today at a UC standpoint, where would you start and why?
So it's a religious war. It's hard to do it, but the key things that people I think focus on when they look at these devices, of an Android device or a Windows device in the conference room, is security and manageability. Now, if you, in your heart of hearts, feel that the Microsoft Windows ecosystem already managing a fleet of PCs is the best opportunity for you, that's great. If you think Android brings other features, you might say I can secure and manage themselves. In this case, I love those Android bars, but around security and management, I think customers might be more comfortable with the Windows solution to start off with.
It's hard to argue with ecosystem, if I'm 100% transparent, right? Because a lot of those systems have Teams built. You've already got the Office suite. You know, I use Outlook, obviously, the whole Microsoft
But I have
suite
to be
as well.
a good attorney here. I am playing the role of attorney, right? I have to give both sides of this argument. Those Android systems, they are very powerful. They are rock solid. You have companies like Cisco WebEx that have an NVIDIA processor in there. They were playing the NVIDIA game before everyone knew that company around AI. So there's a lot of goodness in these endpoints that they run on top of an Android operating system. So you can't count them out. You can't discount that opportunity.
Well, Craig, I want to throw another fastball right to you right here. You know, one of the biggest conversations from last year at InfoComm is the return to office, remote work, things like that. That conversation has shifted dramatically this year, right? You see a lot less product suites designed for a lot of those conversations and things like that. But I want to ask, is return to office still really a meaningful and viable conversation for us in the AV industry?
It's a good thing. And as a good attorney, I should give you the generic answer. No, I won't. I'll do my best. I think people should do this. I think they should change the paradigm. It's no longer return to office. We should be saying it's return to in-person. When and where do I want to sit with you, Ben, and talk and work and collaborate? And I think for a lot of people, the office is a natural place because it's a business asset, it's a resource, and I can provide us with the resources we need, the conference room, the technology, the coffee breaks, the people to see. So I think it's still a thing. I think it's important, but we got to change the mindset about not getting people in the office just for the office sake, but what are the rhymes and reasons to get them in to be in person? Why is that needed?
Well, it's interesting, right? And I think our community has to continue to lead the way on a lot of that conversation, right? Because you see a lot of hybrid workflows and things like that, but you know, we've gotten to a point where a lot of companies have found their VPN setups. They've sort of found a rhythm. But the challenge now is still integrating both. And this is a problem that I face every single day in our workplace. Most people still face. People are literally calling entire workforces back to the office. So that it's a conversation worth having. But I think from a technology standpoint, we have to lead that conversation.
I think it's good. You know, it's the Wild West. I was on a panel yesterday, and that was a great term that was used because we're still recovering from pandemic buying patterns that were early on. Everyone got outfitted and everyone was out there. What I'm saying is there's a lot of devices and things out there and it's kind of tough for IT to manage. So IT wants to get people in, get them wrangled. It's an important thing that helps them have a sense of control, security, management as well too. But you can't make them just because you have a business initiative. You need to have people be motivated why they want to come in. And I think that's what would help the conversation.
Well, Craig, last question here. Maybe the most hard-hitting one of the day. Big shout out, by the way, to Chris Netto, who was on a panel yesterday.
Oh.
We're talking pineapple on pizza.
You went there.
Yes or no?
You went there. You know, it's funny, between Chris and Tim Albright, this is a hot topic on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call about. Pineapple on pizza. You really want me to take a stand on this, right?
I do. Hey, it's for some reason we as an industry care more about pizza toppings than some of our sub-verticals, but I didn't say that.
All right.
Am I allowed to say that? I did say that. But it's the truth.
Chris, forgive me here. I'm sorry, but I have to allow pineapple on pizza. I love just that little surprise of that sweetness in the middle of that bite of pizza. You got to have it sometimes. Chris, I'm sorry, guy.
I'm going to go on record and say I agree with you. I don't know that I've taken a public stance on the matter yet, but I like it. I like it. And my wife likes it too, by the way, which is great. So it's nice to share that with her.
That's great. That's good. I'm good. We ended on a positive note here.
Well, Craig, I'll tell you what. You know, all jokes aside, it really is incredible to have you on the show and to answer a lot of those questions because, you know, the great thing about InfoComm is you get to ask questions from manufacturers and service providers and ask some of those harder hitting questions and have an opinion about things. And I think that's what continues to drive our industry.
I agree. You know, walking around and just discovering too is incredible, right? The opportunity just to wander the aisles and turn a corner and say, what is that? I've got to see what that is.
Well, Craig, thanks so much for coming on. And Craig, you mentioned walking. One of the things that I don't like to do with the show is walk around. I like to take the Tesla loop, which is where our next segment is. Check it out.